Welcome back to the Identical Drop podcast. And I think we've got everything straightened out. This is Thomas and I's third time starting this podcast up because we're filming it now. And we've had a little technical difficulties, but we're good now.
Round one, we were fine. We didn't have an issue, but somehow that camera switched. Like without me, I didn't touch anything.
Yep, sure.
It switched to variable frame rate, which is obviously slow-mo, and you guys want to watch this in real time. So,
but here we are. We're going to discuss the mule deer hunt that we had. We weren't supposed to have, but we had it. And now we're here.
So we started to get into it, but we had some scheduling flaws.
Are we resuming from where we were?
No, we're starting fresh over.
Okay.
So,
yeah,
we started the first week of September in Colorado. Big mistake. Well, I mean, it was, but it wasn't. The weather really this year was really bad.
Couldn't really predict it. But
dry. We're going to get into that whole podcast a different time, but
yep, tough elk hunt.
We've been around a lot of early season stuff and never seen it like it was this trip.
Definitely.
So,
yeah. So, but the thing we realized was our Colorado to Idaho turnaround was going to be kind of tight. It's going to be a lot. Tons of driving. 13 hours both ways to Colorado, 18 hours both ways to Idaho. We
had kind of accepted that, and we're just like, we're going to full send, but then your family might have had COVID, and then we stayed.
Yep.
You know,
came down, the kids were viciously sick, so I was like, I got to stay here for at least another day. It's tough.
Like, we had already about $500 in that tag. Yep. I was excited to go back. I hadn't been back for 4 years.
Looking back, though, we saved money 100%, right? Just because of travel and food and all that cost. I mean, we saved
definitely
money.
We saved money, but
yeah,
if we would have just planned out better, you know.
So instead of we realized we weren't going to go to Idaho, which was it kind of sucked. Definitely a punch in the stomach.
We were on the elk mountain. I was like, man, we just screwed up.
Yeah,
like we should not have been in Colorado early season. It should have been a no archery elk year.
Yeah,
because we're going back in October. We're going back in 3 weeks.
Yep.
You know, because I got a rifle tag. So, but you know, we made that decision. We messed up. We're moving on. Mm-hmm. Our motto when we go out with like during our Western hunts of September, is we need at least one successful hunt. And that's just like because we want we're trying to do our best to make good content.
Honestly,
fill the freezer.
Doing content when you have a dead animal is very helpful.
Yeah.
It just helps.
No, yeah, it's good for all the brands that you shoot for.
Yep. We don't do it like we don't think about a kill for like business motives, but it's like it really helps for content's sake.
I saw this might get into it deep. I hope I won't try to derail too much, but it was a Blood Origins post, and this guy was being asked why he hunts. Mm-hmm. I mean, and I was thinking about that. Like, what if somebody just came up and asked me that? Like, what's my answer? I was like, man, there's a million. There's not one reason. Mm-mm. Like, it's not just for the food. It's not.
No.
You know, it's not just for the antlers. It's not just for our media business. Like, it's all just intertwined now. Like, it's who we are now, you know, for so many reasons.
Definitely.
It's an interesting thing to think about because I always want to hunt for all the right reasons, you know?
Yeah.
Because there are absolutely people that don't.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we know some of them.
Yep.
Greg Ritz.
Yep.
There's just people out there that, like, are not in it for the right... They're in it to make money.
Yep.
And...
I mean, even like the... who's the guy that had the Territories Wild... big bow hunter that meat eater had on the podcast. And I was just
Tom
Miranda. I was absolutely shook in that podcast. He was like, so do you ever just like go hunt for fun?
I think Steve was a little,
he's like, no,
that'd be like
that's what hunting is. Like that dude, it's all just a monetary venture, just making money for a show. It's crazy. But anyways, that was a little derailment.
Mm-hmm.
Mule deer, we were like, we're not going to Idaho. What should we fill our time with? We have a few days here where we like, if I can be home for a few days, make sure the family's good to go.
It didn't take me more than 10 seconds to come up with what I knew I wanted to do. Like any chance I have to go out to the Sandhills, I'm jumping on that immediately. Cause it's not a trip that happens every year. You know, it used to be.
Yep. So we were kind of like looking at public first.
Yeah.
Cause we know the public very intimately.
We've hunted it since 2017.
Yeah, something.
16, 17. We always forget. And you finally killed the first buck out there last year. Just a good 2-3-year-old, whatever he was.
He was 3.
Maybe. Probably 2, I think. Good 2.5-year-old. But like we finally like feel like we kind of figured it out, and it's just a fun hunt. The Sandhills, I mean, I don't care where you've been. It's different. Yeah. It's different than South Dakota. And then different, I mean, it's just its own beast. I just give so much credit to those deer out there. Like I remember my first couple of years out there, I just kept asking like, how are these deer as big as they are? How are they surviving out here? What the hell are they eating? Mm-hmm. What does big buck country look like? And I feel like we were just putting the, like you're just stacking pieces to the puzzle every single time we went out there.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, we were more than ready to go out to public, but we're also like, let's work the phone and see what we can drum up. I mean, if you can get on private land out there, odds
are good.
Yeah.
So we kind of split the state up of you're going to call some areas. I'm going to call some areas quick. Just spend, a few hours max of just trying to see if we could.
I'll probably spend like 1.5 2 hours.
So called some random people we'd never hunted on before. And then I was looking up another property that was close to one we've hunted before. And I was like, this one has deer because we've glassed it just for fun, just because we've been next to it and never been able to get hunting permission.
We've seen shooter bucks on it.
We have.
From a far distance.
So I went on my little website. Like, those people just bought this farm. It's a new owner. So I found the new owner's info and gave him a call. And he was like, yeah, sure. You need to talk to this guy who runs like the hunting out here because we have some other hunts leased out for the guns. But nobody's archery hunting. And I was like, let me call that guy.
It's sad, but like the days of door knocking and going for free have changed.
It's limited. We'll get to that. We'll get to that down the road here. Let's not jump ahead of ourselves. Talk to that guy. He was like, yeah, go out there. He's like, we just don't want to move around the deer before rifle and muzzleloader season. I was like,
like when you talk to, and we got a fuller answer about that.
You could throw dynamite in those hills and they'd be there in rifle season.
He's speaking personally because I'm sure he's got the rifle tag in his pocket too. He doesn't want like any
people's motives. They get squishy. Like the reason he's telling us
big deer make people do dumb things.
The reason he's telling us, hey, we just be really careful where you're going and stuff. And he told me, he's like, the best thing you could do is just put a ground blind up and sit in it. I don't know if I told you that.
You never told me that.
I was like, dude, we're not idiots. Like, we just don't want to bump the deer around for rifle season. And I'm like, dude, our movement middle of September is in no way affecting second week of November.
Probably not. Those deer that are probably in November are probably like miles away at this point.
Yeah, you could run at every single deer you saw in the hills and they'd be there the next day. Mm-hmm. Like they're not going to move. This is their home.
Yeah, it's just funny.
Anyways. But that's just like, you just know that he's probably going to be hunting out there and just, I get it. You don't want things to be messed up, but it's not. You're just crazy to think that. So anyways, we got permission out there. I was like, this is going to be a good hunt.
Yep.
We're gonna definitely see bucks. Whether we can shoot them or not, that's another thing, but we're gonna see bucks. So we loaded up and we made the drive out there, got to the place and started talking to the owner. Really nice guy, young dude.
Like Part owner, yeah.
Yeah, partner.
His family.
Yeah. He's running like a lot of the crops out there and stuff, and get to talking, and he was like, well, kind of talking to my dad and this other guy, and we're going to have to charge for this hunt. I was like
we'll have to come up with some
payment, some payment for him. I was like Thomas and I do like a quick side eye, like,
dude, that's such an advantage for us.
Yeah,
we're our minds are already like in the same
wavelength.
We've already picked a number, and it's like, we get it. Like, we understand it. Like,
and we went into calling landowners, but like we'll offer them a few $100.
Yeah.
I mean,
just to see if like if it tips them over and we can get on private land
for a few $100. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. But we were like,
we drove 4 hours out there, 4 or 5, whatever it was. And they never mentioned that until we were in their driveway.
Which is dirty.
Yeah.
That's dirty. And so he was like, you could tell he didn't want to talk about it. Because honestly, there's a guy that run the hunts out there.
He was very polite.
Yes. The guy that run the hunts out there just like didn't have the balls maybe to tell us that he wanted to charge or something. That's his job.
Having a couple beers later with the landowner, we kind of realized like, okay, like,
he's not qualified. The guy isn't.
Yeah. We did try to steal his job a little bit.
Yeah. So, but he was like, yeah, I was talking to that guy who runs the hunts. He was thinking like $500 a day.
I don't know if those are the exact words. Like, I think he was like, I kind of Googled it and saw this number.
No, he said that guy wanted to start at that.
Okay. I didn't realize. I didn't know that.
I was like, I'll drive. I'll leave. Like, we'll go hunt public. Like, I was like, that's way too
You didn't say that out loud.
No,
you were
I
thinking
didn't
in
say
your
that.
head.
But I did say outside.
You quickly said that's too steep.
Yeah.
Those, and I quote, it's too steep.
Yeah.
End quote.
And
he's like,
yeah.
He's like, yeah, that's what I thought too.
Yeah. And then you were like, man, to be honest, this is really shocking because we drove out here thinking we had some free private permission. And now you're asking for money.
End quote is what I said.
Yep.
But I mean, I'm always being respectful.
Yeah.
But we're having a monetary
and he also
negotiation.
understood. He's like, I get that.
Yeah. He's like, I'm trying to work with you because like I understand that too. Like, you guys should have been told.
I mean, we're not outfitters, but $500 a day, dude.
Yeah.
When this is not guided, you're not feeding us. Like, we're just hunting on your land. Like, that's like guided rifle hunt crap.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, you could book a weekend trip for a few grand.
Yeah.
And like, that's
good.
I'm just like,
yeah.
I'm like, dude, you're out here
fully outfitted with like people know where the deer are.
I'm like you're literally we're just walking on your land.
And this guy doesn't hunt. He doesn't help. His most helpful tip was like, yeah, one time like deer were eating out of the back of my truck.
Yep.
Because he had like some feed thing in there like a year ago or whatever.
Again, this guy was super nice. We enjoyed the hell out of him. But like, yeah, it was like they're just trying to make some money off it, but
like we understand.
It was like,
but the way it was handled, I was just like, we should have been told this.
Yeah,
should have known.
So we came up with a price, which they ended up getting a good deal because we weren't there long. I was like, dude, we'll give you X amount. Do we want to tell people what we were?
I don't think that matters.
Yes or no?
Sure.
I was like, we'll give you $500 for the whole trip.
And we were planning on hunting. We technically didn't have an end date.
We were gonna lease. We could lease on 5 days.
Yeah, $500 for the trip sounds better than $100 a day.
Yes.
So I think that's what you were like, okay, we're going to do this.
Yep. And we were like, I mean, we could have gotten more days out of that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So like,
and like we didn't specify like $1, $2. Like,
no.
We could have kept hunting like with your tag.
Yeah, totally.
But that's the part we can get into that. But like, that's where I just like, that doesn't feel right to me. Like, I would have, like, we would have had to have that discussion for it to feel right to me.
Yep.
Like, I don't know.
Yep. So we came up with that number and he was fine with that. He's cool. So I'm like, okay, great. Now that that's passed, we're going to start hunting. And we were kind of like, that first evening, we were a little scrambled because we talked to him for a while. We were like, let's load up, get out there. But
like speed wise or because of the conversation?
Both.
Yeah.
Both. But
we were all kind of like, we're fine with it. Like, if we would have known we were doing 500 going into this, we would have paid that. But it's just the surprise factor.
Is the hunting going to be good?
Yeah.
That was the other thing. We were like, And he had no money yet.
The issue is like the neighbors that we've hunted, we've had a hard time out there.
Yeah.
And we've scoured their 30,000
There's
acres.
bucks, but like,
yeah. It just hit or miss,
tricky.
you know?
Yeah, a little tricky. So, yeah, we just got up in the hills.
We're out there.
We just like basically put a pin on the map where just like, let's just
We
go look.
we didn't East Scout at all.
Not much.
I mean, we didn't really have time. We just didn't.
No, we just were like, let's just get up there and just class.
We knew we wanted to be in the hills. There was some bottom ag, but we were just like, let's start in the hills, get up high and just glass. Yeah.
We quickly realized we parked the truck, got up there. We were just running into does. So we were like, this is great. Good deer numbers. Mm-hmm. Like that's the first thing. Like if you just have deer numbers, there will be big bucks around. So, I mean, before we even sat down, we saw a handful of does. Busted some out just because we were trying to get some high stuff.
And we were barely I feel like we were really barely peeling
into the hills.
Yeah.
Yep. And so, but yeah, that night, I mean, we just glassed hard and we spotted a handful of deer and then you spotted some bucks.
Yep. They were actually on the neighbors that we've hunted, but we didn't technically gain permission this year.
Yeah.
Even though we know they would have been fine.
I was texting the guy before we got out there.
Yeah. But we sent them the text and he didn't respond and we were not about to go on there without getting the final yes.
Yep. Which we got later.
Yeah. Later that night we did. But we left those bucks to scout some bottom fields to see if there were any whitetails moving in the area. Cause I mean, it's special. Like there's whitetails in the timber next to ag and there's muleys in the hills. So I was honestly going to be game for whatever I saw.
So yeah, that night we were like, okay, we spotted some bucks, but we still have a lot of country to find.
Yeah.
And just figure it out.
We
didn't get a gist for the area.
we didn't get like a good game plan for the next morning.
No.
It was just kind of like all right, let's fast forward to the morning.
Yep. So got home, made something to eat, had a couple Coors Lights, and talked to the landowner for a while, which was great. And hit the hay, woke up to not an alarm.
No, you're supposed to set an alarm.
I was supposed to set an
alarm. Must
alarm.
have fallen asleep.
That is exactly what happened.
Hey, don't be tilting your head back because how am I supposed to see your eyes? Okay.
All
right.
And we got up in time just because I woke up out of the blue, just because I'm just on the schedule. And I
didn't set an alarm because you had your phone on my charger.
Yes. And
mine was almost dead, so I was like, this phone's gonna be dead when I wake up, so why would I set an alarm? You fell asleep before you set an alarm, so then we actually woke up
before we were okay.
Yeah, we were fine.
It wasn't like 9 a.m.
We were set before legal shooting.
Yeah, which is all you can ask. So yeah, we just tore out of there pretty quick. We split up just on two different ridges because we just needed to be a little further west on one of the ridges.
You know, SANDHILLS, if you just get a little
10 feet,
you get a ridge over. You're looking at.
Yep. So I was on the farther ridge, and you were kind of closer to where we were the night before. Just glassing hard again, but the morning was just dusty, just cloudy and foggy.
Nothing sharp. You just couldn't see well.
Nothing sharp.
Sun never broke like it does in the SANDHILLS.
Yep.
Making it very difficult to. We both saw some does.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you see?
Spotted some does down in some ag, and then far off, I just saw a big deer.
At least a mile.
Saw some big deer. Saw two for sure bucks. One of them, I was like, that's a good buck. Big belly. I just saw a gray white face moving. I was like, that's just big mule deer have like those gray faces. I couldn't see antlers though, just because it was too foggy and / rainy and just misty. But I was like, I called you. I was like, it's a buck for sure. Based on the belly, it's at least 3-4 year old.
Yeah.
I can't see the antlers.
The vibe I got from you is like, he might be like a good 3-year-old.
Yeah.
Like you could just
couldn't.
You were not set on saying this is some big buck.
Just because I can't say it's a big buck if I haven't seen the antlers. So I was like, just not sure. So we didn't really spot anything else good that morning. We just we
gave it some time.
We saw more does and stuff and sat for a while. We sat until at least 8:30, right? Mm-hmm. And then we were like, Thomas came over to me. I showed him the vicinity of where those deer were. And we were like, do we just go at them? Cover like all the hills. We were like, you're busting deer for sure. it's hard to find. It's hard to get lost.
Our wind was good, but like you're just walking through
a lot of hills.
Yeah, a lot of hills.
We were like, then we could. The other route was possibly driving around, but we were like, we just don't know how close we could get. So we were just like, let's back out of here and drive around. Let's play it the safe way. This is like our first full day. We don't need to be walking through the hills yet. We actually met up with the landowner there, and he told us, yeah, you can drive around over here. So we did that, drove around, parked the truck, and we were pretty socked in at that point. I remember even asking, like, do we leave the truck? Because
socked in with fog. You could see
100 yards, 150.
Yeah. Like some of the thickest fog I've probably ever hunted in. Maybe ever. Probably ever. Mm-hmm. Just like, I'd never felt like, okay, like hunting is useless right now.
Yep.
Like there's like, you can't do anything.
Mm-hmm. So that was pretty much.
I remember everything looked a lot farther away than it was.
Yeah.
Not to get ahead of ourselves, but we hiked in. You had a waypoint. You had a very rough waypoint on your phone. You're like, this is the rough area of where he's at.
Yep.
So we got halfway between the truck and that waypoint, and we sat down. We're like, we don't want to go any further. We can barely see. So
let's kill some time. 40 minutes.
I took advantage. I snacked up, and you were on a phone call. Mm-hmm. And
hey, you guys still sell some land when you're in the hills.
Yep. So just killing time, you know.
Yep.
Playing some Candy Crush. And then like eventually like I'm looking up and I'm starting to see the hillsides better, and I knew like in all my years of hunting never has fog stuck around like long at all in Nebraska. So I was like, just give it some time, sun's gonna burn it off. I'm looking at radar, like it says that it's clear right now. Mm-hmm. It's not. So I mean 40 minutes, 45 minutes it burned off, and we were like, let's get back there. Let's see what we can see.
Yep.
And we packed up, and
what do we have from our spot when we were
500 yards?
We went down a valley, up a hill, and then we went down and then up another one, right? Mm-hmm. We went over the first one. We were like, okay, we got to get at least over that next one. Had we seen any deer by then? We saw that doe. When we started to go up the second one, we saw that doe to the right.
We were basically on top of the second.
Yeah. And we kind of were like, okay, we're like in them at this point. We've got to be within a few hundred yards.
There are just hot pockets in SANDHILLS, and you got to find those because all of a sudden no deer exists, and then bam, you're in them, and there's a lot of them. You found their safe spot. Yeah, you find where they hang out. It's usually got something to do with like food, water, elevation. They like it, and they're hanging out.
Yep. And so we were like, we've got to be pretty close to these deer, but still like. Just
honestly, I think those does helped us out because I saw those two does, and then we're like, okay, alerts up, and now we're like we're always very cautious when we are going. I mean, that's something that we've learned a lot from.
If you're trying, like what we were doing, if you're trying to spot bedded mule deer during the middle of the day, you just have to move slow like that. You can do it. Like they don't bed like
at this point. Is it 10:30, 11?
Yeah,
it's late morning.
10:30 probably. Yeah, it's probably about 10:30. And so
it was honestly perfect conditions.
Yep.
Like 10 mile an hour wind, 15 gusting. Like not enough to like really mess up an arrow shot. Consistent.
Wind was in our favor for sure.
Cool, not hot. High that day was 70. I mean, pretty dang good for mid-September in Nebraska. We've had hot days.
So we were getting up, going up that hill. And you just, after doing this for so long, you just know where to look. Like we busted deer a lot earlier on because we were just going over the hills and just like scanning the full thing. But now when you're going up the hill, you're scanning your spots.
Yeah.
And so I'm scanning my spots. Tom's over to my right. He's scanning his spots. And then I see something that's up. And I could just tell it's antlers. So I just jump. Hey. And I pull binos up. I'm like, that's the one. It's a big old muley buck. Just.
Yeah. Man, that was nice. That was like, we celebrated. We're like,
we did.
It's on, baby. Yeah, that's half of it.
That is.
You're 50% there when you found him.
Yep. When you found him bedded.
Yeah. In the SANDHILLS.
You still have a long ways to go, but you're like,
there's so many things that could go wrong still, but like, you're at least where you're at, you know?
So we stayed on that hillside for at least the next 15, 20 minutes. Just looking at them,
Debating a lot of
stuff.
A lot of ways to get to them.
Should we just wait him out here? Do we go around left side? Do we go around right side? Which way would you win? What's the wind going to do?
Got to be watching for other deer,
all that stuff. Do you want me to go with you and
How
film?
many times is like a second deer we couldn't see screw us up?
A lot.
You got to watch for that crazy early season.
Yep.
Because they're just usually not by themselves.
Our mindset was there's got to be at least another buck bedded with him because he was in a cedar, which we didn't. We only saw one, but like our mindset is there's more with him. Looking in the area, couldn't see anything else. But we elected to have Tom do a big workaround, at least like a 30-minute workaround, just like go way back from where we were around some cows and get the wind right.
Those big bucks, like they bed in a spot for a reason, and the hunter is usually paying for it. You know, big old journey around to get.
For our viewers here, my arm is like the drainage he was in. He was bedded like over here, and he could see down this whole drainage. And the wind is like coming over his back.
So you're not going around.
So you're not going around like this because your wind would get him. So you like Thomas had to go way around here and around. But like this was like 400 yards, I bet, where he could like, or like 300 yards, you could see shoot down that chute. So you just had to do way work around.
More than that.
So we just devised this plan. I'm going to stay there. You just do a big workout around. Let's just be patient on him. Just get into the vicinity and let him stand up. Tom was like 5 minutes into his hike, and I'm just watching, and I see over to my right, I see a deer on like basically on this little shelf where Tom's was basically going to work around. So I glass him up, and there's like multiple. There's 2 does, there's 2 young bucks. There's just a bunch of deer over there. So I was like,
during this time, I happened to look, like I've made it a couple 100 yards away. I see like there's a little crack in the hill. I can see you, and you're giving me like the phone signal. Mm-hmm. You're like, come back. There's other deer. Like you'd bust them.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So you came back, and we were just watching those deer for a little while. We were like, man, we can't. Can we go around the other side? And we were like, nah, it's not going to work. And as we're there, those deer just get up and just sort of like jog off.
Yeah.
I was like, what? There's something over there spooked them because there were deer further off that ran too. I'm like, maybe a coyote over there or something. But like, they were looking downwind, so whatever they saw didn't catch their wind. They were like seeing something they didn't like, and they just ran off.
It wasn't us.
It wasn't us. And we were like, great. Resume plan.
Yeah, like I'd been back for like 2 minutes, and all those deer just decided.
Killing bucks like this, you have to have shit like that happen.
Yeah,
like the most random lucky stuff. Like all the deer that were going to ruin the stock just like vanished.
Mm-hmm.
No idea.
So see you, Tom.
Yep, same thing.
Go back.
Yep.
Because every deer left but the buck, and he had no idea. He never saw any of it.
No idea. So, I mean, you made the workaround. I just could watch it
around cows, pissed off some cows. Cows are a little sketchy out there. You don't know who's going to F you.
Did they come at you at all?
No. But like, even on the public land, like there's bulls out there. I remember on some of that stuff we've hunted. You don't know. Because they're like the neighbor's piece. He's like, don't go here.
Yeah.
Because those cows will F you up.
Yep.
So that's always in the back of my mind, like what I would do. What would you do if you had a cow to start?
Just get big and just yell at them. But if they came like it was gonna get you,
you're not shooting them.
No, I'm not shooting them. I'll beat the hell out of them with my bow. I'll hit them. I'll hit them on the head.
That cow's just gonna stomp the.
No,
I was thinking
if you fight back and you hit them on the head with something hard.
If you dropped pack and you hauled butt.
No way, dude.
You're not outrunning them. A big heifer.
Mm-mm.
You don't think?
I don't think so.
I was thinking I'm hauling butt to the like biggest cedar I can see.
If a fence is close by, I'm hauling and jumping.
Yeah.
If I'm like, there's no fence around here. Yeah. Finding any structure that you could just like work behind, I'm just going to go baseball bat with the bow.
Yeah.
Side in the bow.
I'm doing that too. But I'm getting to a tree because I'm going to somehow put that between.
Cow's not going to kill you, but it could hurt you pretty good.
Yeah.
It could kill you. If you got on the ground and it was stomping on you,
it could kill you.
It could break some shit.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll get in that situation at some point.
Yeah, that always reminds me of Wire's story.
Yeah. Anyway,
we had a buddy on some South Dakota land, and did they warn him about the cows?
Yeah.
But they're like, we're gonna do it anyways because they saw some good antelope bucks in there. And did they?
They got out there and the cows started like coming at him.
And his buddy was like, "What do we do?" And Jared, we were at our South Dakota camp with our new hunter buddies, and Jared said some expletives, and they started hauling butt to the fence. But just, yeah, can't trust the cows. But I was working around them, and like I'm also worried, like, will they go in the valley and like spook them up? Luckily, I mean, they headed the exact way I needed them to. I worked around them. I just like something about spooking a big animal like that, whether it's a domestic cow or like a wild elk. Like it's just kind of like you don't know how they're going to react. But got around the cows, and then you're just working the landscape, those sandhills from a different angle, and everything's different.
Yep.
You don't know what things look like at all. So I'm just taking my time. I'm using you like
as my reference.
I can see your camera angle.
Yeah.
The big Sigma lens. So I'm like, okay, the deer's still that way. Like I know he's not on this cedar because otherwise they would be pointed at that cedar.
Yep. No, so I actually thought about that because I was filming you certain times and I could see you looking. So I turned my camera. I turned my camera to be filming the deer.
Yeah. So that helped me a lot. And then like basically I knew that the cedar he was under, that was like the only clump of two on the hillside. But coming from that angle, I couldn't tell. It also, from the footage, it looks like there's a right cedar and a left cedar. But from mine, it looks like one's close and one's far. So that's like a whole nother thing I'm dealing with. But I remember telling you that I was like, what if there's another cedar, like off of the group that he's on. I don't know. It was probably
60 yards.
No, the close one that I put between me and him.
Oh,
that was like 15 yards from him.
Yeah.
I remember thinking that, like, okay, there's also going to be that cedar there. So, I took my sweet time, like getting in there because I knew I was close from your camera angle. I could tell.
And I could tell you didn't see him until you were 60.
Yeah. Because I had a pretty good idea he was behind the cedar that I was working towards. But it took me a while the cedar's so thick, it took me a while to glass up antler through that cedar to where he was at. And when I saw him, it was just a huge relief. I was like, okay, I found him. Like, I'm not going to accidentally like be dumb and spook him off of this or that. And then it was like, wind's good, game time. Like I want to get into a position where I have a heck of a chance at a shot.
Yep.
So I took
the footage is pretty nasty. We could maybe insert a little.
Yeah. I'm just like, I've got my bow, I got my release. I'm ranging every single time. I like think I'm a little bit closer. Bino's heavy. I didn't take boots off. I just, in that country where there's cactus, I don't think it's worth it. I wasn't saving a lot of noise and like a cactus in the foot. That's stock over a little bit. So, I mean, to cut to it, I got to 32 yards on him. I got to a little yucca. I'm like, this isn't hiding me anymore, but for some reason, like, I feel like a little bit like more secluded on that.
Yep.
I moved up the hill like maybe a foot, and from where I was like kind of walking in at him, being like cognizant if he could like maybe see my feet or my legs or something, like if there's some opening in the cedar or something where his eyes were. But got to a point where like I could sometimes see like the back of his tine. I could like see movement really well if he turned his head. I didn't know like what it looked like when he stood up. I was just kind of like, I'm going to come to that when it happens. I didn't,
if you need to shuffle
any more
a little
exposure.
bit.
I think I would have like, he's seeing skyline, he's seeing around that cedar, you know? So then I just kind of settle in uncomfortably. I mean, like when I'm that close to a mule deer, I'm not sitting on my butt because you're not making an archery shot on your butt.
No,
like you got to be on your knees, like ready to go.
Possible to stand up.
Yeah. So
then it'll just kind of hunker down and
I'm ranging things like being really careful of my movement, not to like slip up, being quiet.
One thing we didn't
Wind
discuss,
was good, but also at times
that's where I was going. So when Tom was like still working into 32 yards, you were probably like 50. He got all nervous. The buck like threw his head and looked up in that direction. I was like, it was good while it lasted. Like literally, I was like, I've seen this play out.
Yeah.
He's about to get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
And he like swung his head. I was like, okay, he either sees him or smells him. Let's hope he maybe he's just smelling something weird and doesn't like straight up see him. But he stayed bedded, but he's like looking hard, and you're still like moving in on him a little bit. I'm like, oh, this is gonna blow up, and just didn't. He settled back down.
I fought the urge to like get that peak.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll get the peak when he's dead in my hands.
Yeah.
Because I've taken the peak and screwed things up, you know.
The wind was like marginal. It was like not like going from him to you. It was like
it was just a side wind.
Just a side wind, just parallel.
It's just a side wind.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm over 32 yards over him. Wind's mostly good. I'm just hanging out. Then all of a sudden I see a doe walking in. I'm like, oh, like
where did she come from?
She was just walking in, you know.
So I picked up the camera, started filming again. I was like, well,
it's about like
it was good while it lasted, boys.
In the next minute or two, this muley's gonna be gone, and either he's gonna have an arrow in him or he's not. And that was basically my thought.
Yep.
She walks in, kind of walks past him,
but she's looking at you.
Yeah, she's looking at me.
But how?
That's
the weirdest thing, because she came out of.
She just knew something. Like
she couldn't see you though.
I'm not a yucca.
Like she didn't like stand up out of the like in the open, did she?
What do you mean?
Did she come around the hill, or did she?
She just came over the top of the hill.
So I'm like, how did she know you were there? Just because she was walking up there and then just like, oh,
yeah,
saw something.
Exactly.
Weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just I'm darker. I don't know. But basically, like she kind of worked through. I thought maybe she'd get the buck to stand up, take a look, reposition. He didn't. He
just was watching her.
Yeah. But eventually, I mean, she gets downwind and she bolts out of there. And he
looks up still. He looks up again in your direction. Just like what
and
the
still,
heck
like
is going on?
I have just the perfect amount of cedar covering me.
Yeah.
And he's not getting anything.
Just clutch. So she came around and she got to 50 yards from me. I don't know if you knew that. She came right around the hill and then was looking at me. Like, get out of here.
So I'm like, okay, settle in.
2 for 2.
Settle in.
Yep.
And then at this point, like the wind's dying a little bit.
Yep.
On my way in, like I was on, like it was gusting pretty good. Like it was probably gusting 20. Like when I was on like the ridge line. As soon as I got down, it was like 8 to 10. You know. And then like I'm feeling like swirl.
Which out there is nothing.
Yeah, it is. I'm starting to feel some swirl, and I'm like hands on the release. I'm ready to go whenever. And maybe another total elapsed time. Not an hour.
You at 32 yards, like 30 to 40.
Yeah, not an hour. Like I've been on the stock working in for an hour and a half, maybe though.
Yep.
You know,
long enough to where you're like, oh.
I was glad I ate my snacks.
Yep.
On our fog break. At this point, I'm like, I don't know when he's going to stand. It could be right now. It could be at 5 p.m. When he gets up for the evening. What is it? It's just afternoon. It's 12:15 right now. Sure enough, I see that head shake a certain way, and I see extra movement. I see legs start to stretch up, and I'm full draw at that point.
Yeah,
you're snoring up top on the mountain.
Not true.
No, but we'll get into that. I see him stand up, and I see enough body. I'm not like he's standing up for a reason. The sun's not on him. It's cloudy. Like he's repositioning because he smells something like something that's like finally his thoughts took over. Like he's probably sent something once or twice before with the doe and then with the other look. And he's like, I'm going to reposition here. And he was on his feet for maybe like 2-3 seconds when I let it rip. Cause I didn't know when he was going to bound out of there. When you have a muley, it's our turkey, thoughts too. Like if that turkey's in range, like you shoot him. Cause at any moment he's out of your life forever. And like I had the opportunity, I couldn't see his head. I couldn't see front leg, but I knew like that's at least middle body. Cause I'm seeing back leg really well. Put it on him. and I shot like a little bit high on that first shot, but it was high enough. Like it was good enough.
You probably got lungs.
Yeah.
Did you think you got high lungs?
High back lungs, I think. Yeah. Front liver maybe. But like, and it wasn't even that, like, when you think of spine shot, you think of like pretty high on that deer, but like it still dropped him.
Yep.
But I'd be very surprised if that hit spine at all. Like I don't know.
He didn't react like full on like spine, like straightened out, but he was like, he like fell like a spine shot.
Yeah.
But he didn't like, he could still get around.
Yeah. So I knew like he's not going anywhere, but I quickly reload another. He works his way down like 15 yards and I pop a 40-yarder right through him. And I'm like, done deal. I just blew out his heart and lungs.
Yep.
And I was in disbelief. You know, we talked about it, like 1,000 things have to go right.
Yep.
For that to happen. And they did. So I just sat there and I was like, man, 7 years and finally putting my hands on a Nebraska muley.
Big one.
Yeah.
At least 4 or 5 year old. A big heavy deer.
At least 4 or 5.
Big, tall forks.
Probably 160s.
Yep.
I need to get some deer measured, man.
It's a good buck. So on my end, this is how I was at. I was like, okay, I got the long lens, really zoomed in on the deer.
We're going back pre-shot right now.
Yep. I'm like, okay, I'd like to have the R5 slow-mo of the full scene so you can just see you drawn and the deer.
I have I have a pretty strong opinion that the filmer needs to be with the shooter. But these
hunts, it's just so hard to do.
And you are close enough.
Yep.
Like you're on that deer. Like you're like, you can get tight. Like at times you've done it like we're just too far away.
Yep.
And like, I'll still say like the footage is better when the filmer is on with the hunter, like right behind, like over the shoulder angle. Like that angle is just better. That's just the way it is. But we were close enough. Like you're 170 yards from him. Yep. If you were like with that long lens on him, like you're in his business. Continue.
So that was my mindset for filming. I was going to have the one camera tight on the deer, the other one getting both of you guys. And I was like, okay, I was thinking like, I can't just keep him on record the whole time because I'll run out of card and battery space. So I was like,
what mistake did you make?
My mistake is,
it was your first trip filming. Okay. We're not pointing any fingers.
My mistake was,
you didn't
turning the camera off. Probably
didn't put new batteries in the camera. That's your mistake.
Oh yeah. Well,
So
even with that, I'm like, if I have to go through the evening, even 2 freshies, I'm like,
okay.
I had batteries for at least a few hours, but I was like,
you're half mast both cameras though.
Yeah, but I was like, I was at least good for a few hours, but I was like, my issue was if it goes into the evening.
And you only had one extra.
Yep.
So like,
so I could have had more, but I'm like,
and that would have helped a lot.
Even when I'm fully batteried up, I have like 2 extras, and with 2 extras, then you're still.
I'm not turning the camera off though. I'm having it in sleep mode.
So that's where I was at. I was like, that was my mess up. That was probably the first time I actually turned the camera off. I just left it in sleep mode so I can hit record, and you could probably film in a second and a half, 2 seconds. My mistake is I see the deer get up.
In my head, I'm like, I'm shooting this sucker as soon as he.
Which I was like, I know you're probably going to try to get
once. Not once did I think, oh, I got to hold in a second for Nate. I honestly, looking back, like maybe I should have. I definitely should have a little bit. But
so
like, if that deer boogers out, I'm like, I wanted you to make sure. I want to make sure you're on him.
So the issue I had there was I go to just hit record just to turn it on, and I double pump, and I'm like, F, the camera's off. So then I turn it on, I hit record, and so this is what I said. When I filmed it, I thought I totally got the deer. I thought I got the shot because I remember watching on the screen, watching the deer standing and then going down. So like I hit record as soon as possible, and the deer falls down. And so I'm like in my head
you're half a second late because that's like from footage wise, deer's on the ground kicking.
Okay, so that was just straight up delay because like. When I record, I was like, okay, I got the shot. I at least got the arrow hitting the deer.
Even if,
Which, looking back on it, I wasn't too bummed because you couldn't see the deer.
Even if the, like the cameras were just like on sleep mode and you hit record right away.
I would have gotten it.
You would have gotten it, but like it would have been like
rushed.
A second.
Yeah.
You know?
So
what was like best case scenario for you? Like the deer stands up. I like wait.
So here's my plan.
You hit record.
Here's my
you're
plan.
also film with R5.
Yeah, this is what I was thinking. I was thinking, okay, deer would stand up.
And you're thinking I was going to give him some time.
No, I was thinking you'd at least watch him stand up, and then you draw, and then you have a few seconds. I didn't think like you were drawing back when he was thinking about standing up.
Drawing is as in, like,
no, I get it.
Drawing
you did everything right, but I was like, I bet the deer will probably be mostly up before you start to draw. But you were like,
I saw him stand up.
You were like, he was like going, and you were like,
you just don't know if he's going to pound out.
No, you did everything right. But I was like, I'll have at least. I was like, in my mind, I was like, if I have 3 to 4 seconds, no problem. So what I was wanting to do, ideally, was just hit the long lens on, and then I'm picking up the panty and just. So I'm getting the whole
R5,
thing.
yeah.
Or yeah, the R5. Which that was a stupid idea looking back. That was a stupid idea because my issue was I wanted to tight on the deer, but I should have just had the full thing.
Yeah.
But I was like
the whole time.
When I was out all the way, I was like, that's still the deer's just so small. So I was like, I should have something tight and then have something out. Which the deer was completely covered up in cedar anyways. Like you can't see the arrow impact the deer anyways. The only thing I really feel like I missed was you draw and shot. Drawing, you just shooting your bow at the deer. That's the only thing. I was like, So yeah, so you shot the deer. I'm filming both cameras by now, so I get you drawn, shooting your second shot, everything like that. But it did suck. Like I definitely wanted that footage. I mean, I laid down 30 minutes of footage of him just hanging out there like so much, and you stalking him, and that's all great. But I was like, I definitely screwed up there, and it was just the camera off. If I would have just gone up and been able to hit the on record button and it was been on, then I would have
camera was off because of your half bat.
Even if I would have known mentally that the camera was off and I went straight to turn it on and hit record, I would have gotten it probably. Yeah, it was just the fact that I had to do that. That was like what I had to have the thought of.
Yeah, because honestly, like turning it on and then having the screen is probably the same as hitting record and letting.
You should just grab it. Let's see how fast. Let's see how long it takes. That camera will turn on without a lens, right?
I don't know.
No? Yeah, here.
Well, how do you get this thing on?
No, so this is the time that I took. Okay. I don't know which camera I should do. I'll show the one.
It's the workhorse.
So this is the record button that I was hitting. I was like turn on. so I went to hit it. I was like, wasn't turned on. So this is the time that you shot on. I'm like, turn on. Boom, I'm recording, and he's dead by then.
Yeah.
So you shot him pretty quick.
You had an extra half second of work, but then your mistake of hitting the record button, that's another 2 seconds.
Yep.
And your mind's computing, oh no, and you hit this button.
Yep. But it was just
it doesn't like in my mind it doesn't hurt the episode at all.
No, I mean, but it's more of like a pride thing for me.
Yeah.
Just like I'm good enough. I should be throwing down some good stuff. I just had a mental error. Like even like I went to go grab water at some point because I was like I haven't had water in an hour, and I'm just sitting on top of this hill in the sun, and I just had that camera running on record, and so I went to go get water so I wouldn't miss anything. Like I was like so prepared. Like I'm not missing this thing, and then sure enough I just F it up. You know, like when you're in like the heat of the moment, this thing turns on a lot slower than you think. I was like, what the heck is taking this thing so long? I was like, come on.
She's getting slow in her old age.
God.
We've had this thing since we started chasing these muleys. I mean, this is a 7-year-old camera.
Yep.
Like
for all those that are just listening, we're messing with the Canon 5D Mark IV that I was filming.
This is the GOAT.
Yep.
I mean, this is the GOAT. Like this is probably more like
if you do hunts and you don't have the battery pack, you're dumb.
Nobody has a battery pack.
But this thing is like life.
Yeah.
I don't know where we didn't. Was it McKinnon? Did McKinnon turn us on to the battery pack?
Well, because he used the 1D.
Yeah. So it just looked bigger.
Yeah.
This thing is so clutch. Just comes off.
Like, because Canon batteries, I mean, they don't last forever.
This is the normal one. All it does is like go into where the camera is at and then just go on. And it holds 2. And I mean, we just don't worry about batteries in this thing. It just goes right in the side here and just shuffles them.
Like, you can roll through bass pretty quick. Like, we don't have the battery pack on the R5. And like, you're half battery pretty quick.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, that thing also eats like quite a bit more, but
yeah. So, the episode's still going to be banger. When are we putting that out?
next year, next July.
Yeah. We'll put a little sneak peek in this episode for people that are watching, but yeah, we'll drop it on the
We're
channel.
going to podcast next week on elk that drops that episode. Just because like the lack of activity, we're gonna make a pod / episode. You're gonna watch and listen to it the whole time. Just because I mean, our elk episode last year is doing fantastic on YouTube.
Yep,
it's nearing 70,000 views. No boosting, and I mean because it's action packed. We saw bulls. Hopefully we have a similar experience like that with our rifle hunt, you know, but
yeah, we just cleaned them up and
for like, we were there for 24 hours.
So that guy got his $500 a day rate.
Yeah. At that, like we discussed, like, should we try to get, but like at that point,
shot
like,
a good buck.
we want to be able to have an invite back.
Yep.
We're not going to discuss it. The buck's worth more than, a lot more than that to us.
The only thing terrible about the hunt that came out was,
man, you got screwed up pretty good.
Dude,
I got it too.
All over. We got into a patch of poison oak, and I knew it was something bad, and I didn't check it.
We both looked at it.
We were like,
we individually saw it, and we're like, that's something. I mean, it was everywhere.
Yeah, it was just covered the ground.
How do we even avoid it? Like, if we knew like we were about to get effed up,
we would have to drag them somewhere.
We would have taken more dude, it was everywhere.
It wasn't like over. On top where we were, like I was filming.
Okay, but.
Yeah,
it was all throughout those hillsides.
It was just everywhere. Like I mean, it was hard to avoid, but yeah, I mean, it got worse. Bad.
What did you do that made it worse? We both looked at it and we said, "This is not poison ivy, but it's something. It's a."
But it was like great color. It was like orange and green and red, and I was
like poison ivies are.
I was like, that'd be really good foreground in this pick. So I literally picked up.
Is it on like your?
Not really,
dude. It's pretty. It's like I want to pop that. It's all bubbled up.
Oh yeah, I've popped a couple of them.
Oh, you probably not. Definitely not supposed to do that.
No, but yeah, it's some on my palm. Well, but like it. I mean, it's all over my arms, chest. It's on my neck. It's on my legs, my kneecap. Dude, it's literally covered.
Holy cow! What's that like? Is that the ooze itself?
Yes, Tom.
Dude, you should absolutely be
going in to get checked out. Yeah, I'm not gonna.
I have it like barely on my arm.
Do you think they'd give me meds?
Yes. Have you lost your mind? Take care of yourself, dude. They'd give you a steroid that knock it out.
Oh, really?
Dude, that's bad enough that you need to go in.
Yeah.
You've got at least another week of that too.
Yeah.
If you don't. Yeah. Urgent care. We should probably end this podcast so you can do that.
Anyways, that was kind of the only bummer.
I can't believe that. Let me see your chest.
It's not that bad. The only bad part is over here. Let's see if I can. Can you see it through there?
Yeah. Yeah, you need to go in.
I've been putting some stuff on it.
It's pretty dumb that you haven't actually.
But anyways, it was a super solid hunt. Great.
We're like, I mean,
it was as good as we were hoping.
It was worth not going out to Idaho.
Yeah.
I mean, shot an amazing buck. And
packed him out of the hills. Finally put some meat in our KUIU packs, which was just a good feeling. Shot some great content with it, and that's that. Anything else?
We're whitetail boys, but man, we love our Western stuff too.
Yep. That place out there is pretty awesome.
Yeah. People seem to like our First Lite KUIU talk.
Definitely.
I thought it sparked some good conversation, and I think a lot of people just like, have you listened to a podcast that gets into it like that? They just don't come around that often because everybody's so scared of giving away helpful information. And a lot of people, like, I think we assume people know a lot of the stuff, like company wise and what's the changes that are being made, but a lot of people aren't. Even if you're fully decked out in a camo brand and you're following on social and maybe you know a person or two over there, it's just hard to be in the know. But we're heading out to Wisconsin.
Yep.
Tomorrow morning we're gonna head out and chase some whitetails. So
stay tuned on that front. But thanks for everybody for listening and watching. If you're watching, you better leave a Leave a like and comment. If you're listening, thanks for listening.
Hopefully people like that we're in a studio now, not in the car.
Yep.
You know, I have a strict, I don't want to do it in the car podcast anymore.
We'll break that for sure.
I think we're going to bring it this week. I think we should get a podcast with everybody.
Yep. That'd be solid. All right. Till next time.
Peace.
Signing off.